I want to make this video because I feel like there are still rumors about reprints. Some sets are probably not going to get reprinted, or there's no way they're going to reprint the set for XY reasoning. I want to bring this up because this has been said before about specific sets. I think you guys may know what I'm talking about. I was even saying those things because it was basically just everybody in this whole space was saying the same thing, and it turned out to not be true. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say that, oh, you shouldn't buy any of these because if a reprint does happen, prices are going to crash. That's not what I'm saying at all, but you got to leave that door open of that possibility, right? So, going back, I guess, to this popular rumor that was said before that turned out to not be true. Remember when everybody, I mean, including me, was saying that there's no way Pokemon's going to print SV1 to SV4, which is Scarlet Violet Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, and Paradox Rift. There's no way they're reprinting any of these because they're older. They're just gonna focus on the new stuff, and that was said very often in this whole space, and it kind of became like a meme. Everyone was saying it, and then it turned out to not be true, right? Because we heard about these reprints. I'm not very sure if they've come yet. You guys can educate me if they've dropped. I don't really know if these reprints have really happened because honestly, if you look at the prices of these products that were supposed to getting reprinted, and apparently some of them were supposed to be decently sized, there's been no price drops. So I don't really know if it's happened. You guys can let me know. I don't have distribution, but I haven't seen any major price drops, so I'm not really sure it's come out yet. But when that was being said, it seemed like it sounded right, and that's the thing. What sounds right and what is actually right are two different things. And when this reprint news came out, it was sort of shocking, right? Because this whole time everybody was saying that there's no way these sets are getting reprinted, and then two of the sets got reprinted. Paldea Evolved booster boxes right here, and Obsidian Flames booster boxes were in the reprint, which are those 1 through 4 sets. Now were some other reprints that happened, like Twilight Masquerade, Surging Sparks booster boxes, but those ones people didn't talk about. They weren't going to get reprinted. It was mainly Paldea Evolved Obsidian Flames getting reprinted, which kind of negated or just, I guess, disputed that whole theory or rumor that people had that the first 4 sets were not going to get reprinted. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I feel like it's still being said about other sets that, they're not going to get reprinted for whatever reasoning. They're going to only focus on the new stuff. Now, that may be very true, but like I said, you can't discount, I guess, that it's not a possibility, right, that these are going to get reprinted. Now, is it a lot less likely that they're going to get reprinted versus other products? Sure, because it doesn't make sense that Pokemon would focus on the newest stuff, the most hottest stuff, versus then going back to the older stuff. Yeah, it does make sense, but why did Pokemon then reprint, all those previous older sets? It's because they can still do it, right? So what I'm trying to get at is, even though it seems like reprints in this whole market probably aren't going to do too much, especially if they're reprinting multiple sets and products, the amount of, each product getting reprinted, it's not going to be as much if they were to just reprint, let's say, one set as an, a whole thing. That would probably do more to the prices, but if they're reprinting multiple sets at once, prices most likely in this market are not going to go down by much. So I'm not trying to sit here and scare you that prices are going to go down because of any reprints that may occur with these products, but just know that anyone saying that it's not possible or that there's no way they're going to reprint this, it's not really a fact. So be careful, because you may be buying into this whole idea that it's not possible, but then when it happens, I guess you'll be disappointed because people were telling you this certain thing and it turned out to not be true. Now, one set that I would say that I'd probably say is almost guaranteed at this point to not get reprinted is Scarlet and Violet base booster boxes, because, okay, they did the reprint, right? They reprinted Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, which were older sets, but they didn't reprint Scarlet and Violet base, and they've honestly already done a reprint of this, and I feel like Scarlet and Violet base, since it is the oldest set, there would be really no need for them to reprint this base set. So I'd probably agree this is the only one where you could probably be almost 99% sure that's not going to get reprinted. But other than that, these other boxes that I'm going to get to here, specifically 2 of them, they could still get reprinted. I know the idea is still very popular that it's a super low, almost no chance they're going to reprint. But like I said, look at those boxes that got reprinted previously that people said wouldn't happen. Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames. So I think this is the main one people talk about that there's no way they're going to reprint this, right? It was super cheap for so long. Now it's like pretty expensive, but there's no way they even care about the set because they're just going to focus on the new stuff. Now, that may be true. Maybe in the short term they do only focus on the new stuff, but like I said, don't discount that it's not possible because people said the same thing about Paldea Evolved and Obsidian Flames. Paradox Rift, if you think about it, it's pretty expensive. It's almost as expensive as Obsidian Flames and Paldea Evolved. It's now $200. So this is still, for what it is, a pretty expensive booster box. So don't think it's impossible they're not going to reprint this. Even though I wouldn't agree to the point of, it being a lower chance than other sets because it's not as expensive, even though $200 is still pretty expensive, and it's not as popular. So there are some, I guess factors you could argue of why that could be the case. But guess what? We're all just sitting here taking these guesses and using our own reasonings. But Pokemon, they might not have the same reasoning or same mindset that we do and all these sorts of things. They may just reprint it because they're seeing the price. It's $200. It's $40 over MSRP. Let's just get some more supply into the market. And when you do have some more, I guess, less sought after products, right? Like Paradox Rift, I don't think is as sought after as Paldea Evolved or whatever. It's possible if there are reprints with these sort of products, they could drop a lot more than more popular sets than like Paldea Evolved or Surging Sparks, stuff like that. So I wouldn't, I'm not trying to scare you guys into not, buying this stuff and telling you that this stuff will drop in the future because it may not. There may be no reprints, right? But you can't discount that factor. So when you're seeing this booster box at $200, it's very possible this is a good pickup. It's very possible because if you're using that, kind of mindset or, thought process that this is not as, there's no way they're going to reprint this because it's not as popular and there's other stuff they got to focus on. This may be a good pickup, but I feel like at $200, in my opinion, I don't know, buying some of these, I feel like the only reason why you would buy it at this price point is because of that factor that it's not going to get reprinted. So it's kind of you could say a gamble because, we are seeing older sets get reprinted. So just take it, I guess, the information or whatever that people give you with things not getting reprinted, like kind of with a grain of salt because it can still happen. But I'm not saying it's going to crash prices. Temporal Forces, I think this is another one where people say that it's probably not going to get reprinted. Same thing. It's still possible. The set is not, all of these are still like in rotation. They're still, have the possibility of getting reprinted. It's possible that they may skip some of these. Maybe, people are right about Paradox Temporal not getting reprinted, but same thing. You can't discount that factor. They're still pretty expensive. If you think about it, they're both $200. So not that far off from some other booster boxes. It could be another print wave where they print some of these booster boxes. Very possible. You can see here, prices have been, pretty steadily going up for all of these. So they have been getting more expensive. So like I said, these older sets, as they get more expensive, I feel like the probability and chance they get reprinted actually becomes higher because at one point these were like around MSRP, and at that point, the reprint possibility seems a lot less. But if Pokemon, maybe notices some of these increased prices, and later down the road, they may just decide to reprint them. And lastly here, Stellar Crown. Now this one is a newer set, so I think people haven't really said anything about this not getting reprinted. But yeah, this is pretty expensive. I could see Stellar Crown getting reprinted, honestly, because it's pretty new and it's pretty expensive. It's more expensive than Paradox and Temporal Forces, and it's a lot newer. So I just wanted to make this video to, I guess, talk once again about people saying and spreading this rumor that, these reprints won't happen for these sets for whatever XY reasoning. I understand, the kind of thought process of there being a lesser chance because it makes sense. But as we have seen in the past, it doesn't matter what we think. Pokemon may have a different idea of what they want to do and why they want to do things. So reprints, will they do anything? It seems like not really much happens, at least from the previous reprints we've seen. But just know that I guess people that are saying that reprints are impossible for certain sets, whatever, that's not true because all of these sets can get reprinted. It's just, I guess, whatever you're placing your bets on that is most likely not going to get reprinted versus others that may get more or more likely to get reprinted. So just want to touch on this topic again. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.